This TV show is called Flashpoint. It's on a TV network owned and operated by Kenneth Copeland called the Victory Network. This guy is Gene Bailey, if you're unfamiliar. They love talking about election conspiracies and all kinds of other crazy stuff. Matter of fact, this one's got Mike Lindell, of all people, in it. So let's watch this Flashpoint episode. The title of it is You Need to Hear This. It is bound to be interesting. This one came out August 25th, so it's a little bit older, but bound to be interesting anyway. So let's give it a watch while we play some Breath of the Wild, shall we?
Good evening, everybody. I'm Gene Bailey, and this is Flashpoint. Glad you're with us tonight. All right, so it happened again.
Glad to be with you, Gene.
All right, so it happened again. That's right. This morning, we were canceled again on YouTube.
Canceled again. Oh, my God. Okay, you weren't canceled. Your video was removed for something, probably misinformation. They're using the term canceled entirely too freely. That is not what it means, like at all.
Now, the interesting thing about this cancellation is it wasn't Flashpoint. It was a different program that airs here on the Victory Channel, Morning Prayer, because you know how incendiary prayer can be. So
It can be pretty incendiary, especially when coming from these people. Absolutely. Yeah, it can be bad. It can be really bad, actually.
Got canceled on YouTube. So if you have other social media and you're trying to figure out where do you want to watch and you're watching on Facebook, you can go over to Getter or Rumble, and we're on the front page there, and you can follow us there. Every show is always live, as well as on govictory.com. You can watch the live feed of the Victory Channel right there. Now, if you were earlier today, you received an email from us at govictory.com/FP.
It sounds to me like they're desperately trying to make it out like they're being persecuted terribly because they spread, I don't know what they spread. Medical misinformation, hate speech is likely, saying that, they don't like gay people and they think that something bad should happen to them. They say those types of things constantly. And you know what? If you want to say that on the Victory Network, on your TV network, on your TV show, on like DirecTV or whatever, be my guest. YouTube has terms and policies preventing you from doing that. Now, I'm dealing with something right now where I got 5 content strikes for hate speech on YouTube within like 2 months or something like that, or a month. Back in February, and I just got 2 more in the past week, and that has been deeply, deeply frustrating for me because all 7 have been repealed. They realized that they were incorrect strikes, so I don't really feel bad complaining about it when they're obviously making mistakes. Unfortunately, they keep making those mistakes. It's very, very annoying because it throws a wrench into everything. Anyways, it was completely deserved with Flashpoint and the Victory Network. They have a tendency to attack the LGBT community directly for no reason other than just because they don't like them. So I don't know what this one was for, but I'd be willing to bet it was something to do with that.
Up if you're not a Flashpoint Army member, and we told you about what was coming. If you're not a member, you need to sign up.
My problems with the system that YouTube uses to give people strikes for various things isn't its existence, just the existence of the system at all. The system has to exist. It is completely necessary that a system exists where YouTube can remove content for misinformation or hateful content or whatever else. It has to exist. My issue with it is that there's basically no transparency. I would love to know how they come to these decisions. Is it mass reporting that's getting me hit? Is it what? Obviously, in my case, it's incorrect or they wouldn't be removing it. But anyway, let's keep listening.
govictory.com/FP signup. Now, let me tell you something, what's going on here with email. So we'll just do a little housekeeping here. Many of you are sending us email and communications. Thank you, by the way, for letting us know that you're still not receiving your Flashpoint emails, or you get them for a while, then they stopped, and they...
It's almost always spam. I worked in IT. I worked as a software engineer for many years, and I also worked as an IT problem solver kind of guy for many years. Server admin had come in and try to figure out what was going on with stuff. And I tell you, it is almost always with email, almost always, it went straight to the spam folder. If you just check your spam folder, it's almost always there.
Start up, then they stop. I want to let you know that today, anyone can go to govictory.com/flashpoint and click on this week's email. Now that's only for a short amount of time, because we put things in that email that we don't want everybody to see, just that goes to the website.
Oh, really? Stuff in the emails that you don't want everybody to see? Now that's interesting. Maybe I should sign up for their email service. You guys think I should do that? Sometimes a company firewall and not a spam folder. That's true. But yeah, I mean, I guess it just depends. But it's almost always spam. That sounds interesting, right? You know what else I wanted to sign up for was Donald Trump's email thing. I would love to know what Trump is saying to his fans in his emails. I mean, every now and then they surface, but it's absolutely crazy stuff. Absolutely crazy stuff a lot of the time.
But we're getting canceled. We're being suppressed.
No, they aren't.
There's some stuff going on with you getting your emails.
Give me are you serious? This is the most transparent nonsense I have ever heard in my life. Emails are managed completely and totally 100% by the company that's sending the emails, okay? Email servers are private usually. If a company as big as Flashpoint is not using a private email server, I don't know what they're doing. That's ridiculous. I use a private email server for some things. Private email servers are super easy to set up, okay? There's no canceling about it. This is just a persecution complex on full display once again. This is so ridiculous, I can't.
So, until we get that resolved, those of you that are getting the email, you'll continue to get it. But if you're not getting it, you can go to govictory.com/flashpoint and it'll be.
Okay, I got to write this down because this is beyond ridiculous. Knowing what I know about like IT and how it works and everything, having been a server administrator for 4 years and a software engineer for another 4, an additional 4. This is just too much, dude. Notice they didn't name a company. Notice how they didn't name a company. You like a few minutes ago, they said YouTube is canceling us. Who's the company that's canceling your email? Can you give me a name? I want to boycott them. Tell me who's canceling your email so that I can complain. I'll write a strongly worded letter to them for canceling your email. There is nobody. I just about guarantee they have a private email server, and even if they didn't, Google pays basically no attention to the direct content of emails, or various different email servers or hosts or whatever. Don't pay any attention to the content of individual emails like that. I don't even know if they have access to it. They might. They might have access to it. I don't know if they track it, though. Like, I don't know if they would even care enough to track it.
Right there, you can click on this week's email. It's only for a limited time because you still need to sign up. But until you get it working, you can see the week's email. All right. So listen, we want to get right into today's program. I want to bring in my friend.
Taking a look at some commenters here. It might be that Gmail and other big email services sending the emails to spam straight where they deserve to be. Probably because they're embedded with 11 gazillion tracker images, all caps, and other big red flags for email. Yeah, that could be, but that would be the fault of the person's spam filter, basically, or the spam filter of the host of the person's email or whatever else. It wouldn't be because they're being canceled. Just insane. Absolutely insane.
Into today's program, I want to bring in my friend John Graves. John, let's talk about the fact that, you heard me just talk about emails being suppressed. I want you to speak to that. Does that really happen?
No, it doesn't. This guy is apparently an entrepreneur. That's how they describe him. I've never heard of this guy before. But I worked in software engineering specifically for 4 years. Well, 6 years kind of. But I did 2 years in Objective-C for iOS app development. I did 2 more years with PHP and Java for like on my own time. And then I did 2 more years with C# with a company doing back end stuff for websites, basically. And my buddy sat next to me, did the front end work for them. I was making microservices. I was working my way up to architect. I was doing my best to get there by the end of it before I finally went full time with YouTube. But before that, I mean, I've been programming since I was 9. I did my very first C program at 9 years old. It was a calculator to calculate how many mice you have if you this or that or whatever else. So my entire life, I have always been programming. So I know a little bit about this. And aside from that, I also did server administration for 4 years with companies and 2 years on my own after that. So I know all about email servers and how they work. Let's hear what he has to say here.
Just talk about emails being suppressed. I want you to speak to that. Does that really happen?
No.
It absolutely does. North Carolina State University did a in-depth study, even in the last presidential election, and found that many of the emails, Gmail's the #1 provider, up to 80% of conservative or Christian opt-ins. You went to Flashpoint, you went to Senator whoever and opted in, are being sent to the spam folder.
Yeah, that's because Gmail looks for specific red flags in an email. It doesn't look at the content of an email. It looks for red flags. Are there things in the email that make it look like it could be from an email farm? So there are people across the world that steal or purchase stolen lists of email addresses. Like, my email address has been exposed in like 30 different hacks over the years because I've had it since 2010 or something. I've had it since before Gmail was even open to the public, okay? So my email address has been like, for example, let me just give you a basic example. There's an app called Park Mobile. Park Mobile is a company that lets you pay for a parking meter from your phone. Instead of having to like dig up quarters, you just get in there and you pay for your parking meter from there. There was a hack on Park Mobile's servers a while back that exposed email addresses and car nicknames and things like that. Whoever hacked Park Mobile and stole all that information eventually went on to sell the email addresses that they hacked to people who were going to send emails to, everybody on the list claiming to be a prince from Nigeria who just needs, $3,000, and he's going to use that to access the $10 million that his family left for him. He just has to pay the taxes on it. So if you just send him $3,000, he'll send you $5 million back. They basically get these lists of hacked email addresses, and they just send as many of those emails out as possible to the list of email addresses that were exposed in the hacks. And they don't work on almost anybody, right? They work on like half of a percent of the people who get those email addresses. But that's all it takes. They purchased 10,000 email addresses from somebody who has that list, who hacked Park Mobile and has a gigantic list of email addresses now. If they send it out to 10,000 of those email addresses from Park Mobile hacks, and only half of a percent fall for it, that's still $6,000 richer than you were before you ran the scam. So what Gmail does is they will look for keywords in emails that are coming in, not being sent out. So Flashpoint is perfectly free to say whatever they want in their email addresses, but individual Flashpoint recipients, their email host, like Gmail, for example, will listen for keywords like Nigerian prince or, $1,000 or whatever. I mean, I don't have the list of red flags for email providers, but these email providers listen for keywords, and Flashpoint is constantly begging for money from their people, and I'd be willing to bet that's probably the thing that kicked it over the edge for them. That's probably why they get flagged so easily, so readily, because they're constantly begging for money and talking about how they need your help and that kind of thing. That's like red flag territory for any email provider. It's like the time that Twitter said they set up like a filtering system to prevent neo-Nazis from, be like working on the system or whatever, but they couldn't institute the system. They couldn't like put it into practice because it would catch too many conservatives in the net. That's the issue. If Gmail thinks that your emails are spam, it's a you problem, not a Gmail problem, okay? Maybe think about some of the things that you're sending out and how it could be predatory. Seriously, like, these people are ridiculous.
Versus leftist, none of them were being blocked. So it's Yahoo, it's Gmail, it's all kinds of different providers, but you can't assume that it's on there, which is why you need to find alternative ways to sign up for Flashpoint. We've said this is coming. This is now irrefutable. It's a university that was just saying, is there any difference? It's undeniable. There's partisanship among big tech and how they deliver emails, Gene.
No, it's not that there is partisanship in how email is delivered. You guys are just predatory monsters in your emails. That's the problem. If your emails didn't throw up questionable red flags, you wouldn't have to worry about this. Seriously. Your emails are indistinguishable from the Nigerian prince emails. Like, they're trying to con old people out of thousands of dollars by claiming to be a Nigerian prince who just needs you to send him $1,000 to cover the taxes, and then they'll send you, $100,000 back or whatever. If your emails are indistinguishable from that, it is a you problem. God, these people are ridiculous.
It's terrible.
So what was happening, John, is that people would sign up and they'd be getting the email 2 or 3 weeks. Then suddenly they don't get it anymore. They let us know, we resolve the issue, and they start getting it again. 2 weeks later,
that's right,
it's gone again.
How did they resolve the issue? That's really interesting that they're pointing out that this is an issue that's possible for them to resolve personally. Is that weird to anybody else? I thought that they said they were being canceled by like Gmail and stuff. Is this an issue that they can resolve? In reality, it is actually an issue they can resolve. There's something called reputation in emails, like in the email system. You can add your system or your company or your email address or whatever to a whitelist system and try to improve the reputation of your email server with various different companies. So if you like contact Yahoo and you say, look, we're a legitimate company, we've been doing this for so long and we're on DirecTV and everything, we're not trying to scam anybody out of anything, this is not a spam server, they can add you to like whitelists. Or you can do certain things to increase your reputation. Reputation is an actual number in email servers that you can increase, like 300s, 400s, kind of like a credit score for an email server or whatever. So if they work on increasing their reputation, this won't be a problem anymore. So that's probably what they've been trying to do, is increase their reputation. Your reputation goes down among email websites like Yahoo or Gmail when people hit the spam button. It goes up when people receive your email, when you enter information into like directly into their email stuff, that kind of thing. So anyways, yeah, these people are just completely full of it and looking for a reason to be persecuted.
So I want everybody to understand this is a very real issue. Whether it's YouTube canceling the Victory Channel because we prayed on the air.
Okay, no, that's not actually why they canceled the Victory Network. There are all kinds of people who pray on air constantly on YouTube. I mean, it's damn near encouraged on YouTube. I don't know. I don't know what specific case they're talking about, but they probably violated some terms of service thing. Like they were claiming that COVID wasn't real, or they were claiming the election was stolen or some other nonsense. That's kind of their whole MO. That's what these guys do. And they didn't cancel the Victory Network. They removed a single video for misinformation or whatever it was. You know how I know that? Because it's still there. Because their YouTube channel is still up. At best, it was one single video. By even using the term canceled, they're trying to latch on to this massive fear of cancel culture. Like, give me a break, people. Come on.
Lord, how horrible that is to pray on the air. And they didn't like whatever they were praying about.
Didn't like whatever they're praying about. Ridiculous. These people are ridiculous. This is so predatory and manipulative. Seriously, what they're saying here. So predatory and manipulative, it's disgusting. What's the difference between the Nigerian prince scam and the prosperity gospel? One is a big predatory scam targeting gullible people, and the other actually comes from Nigeria most of the time. Right, exactly. That's fair enough. You know, I can totally see how the prosperity gospel emails look like really are impossible to tell apart from a Nigerian prince scam. I can see how email servers could be confused about that. Anyway, all right, let's keep listening to Flashpoint here.
Or the fact your email, that we are being watched and you're being watched. So if you want to, there's another way for you to do it. And we're working on other avenues, including
we're being watched and you're being watched. What does he mean by that? I mean, I guess we're all being watched. If he means like we're being tracked on our phones, yeah. We've known that for like a long time. Like, what is he even talking about? Is this another point of persecution he's trying to give us? I think it is. I think he's implying the deep state is watching everybody right now, or whatever else.
Texting, and that we'll talk to you about later.
Oh, does he mean woke? We're being watched by people who don't want us to say something that could offend people or whatever. I bet you're right. I bet you're right, Smith. Yeah, that checks out.
We're not ready to roll any of that out yet, but I want you to know we're working on it. Until we get it done, you can go over to your website. Let me bring in, this guy is my friend, Pastor Mark Burns from South Carolina. How you doing, brother?
If you guys are unfamiliar with Mark Burns, the guy is very concerning. Not too long ago, expressed an interest in taking out members of the LGBT community in the most final and literal way, trying them for treason, holding them for treason against the U.S. government just because he doesn't like them. Really, really deeply disturbing guy, honestly. Very, very disturbing guy.
Happy to be here, my brother Gene.
Yeah, I see you all over my social media account, preaching up a storm, calling things out the way they are. I love that. I love you. Yeah. I want to hear what you think.
Gay. No, I'm just kidding.
About, we're going to go to Mike Lindell, just logged in, so we're going to go to him in just a moment. But Mark, I want to
hear I can't wait.
What you're thinking about this raid. Let me just go and let you take it off tonight. What about this raid on President Trump's home?
Okay, so this was like a while ago. It's been like weeks since, or coming up on a month now since the, not the raid, but the search took place. And they're still talking about this. See, this is what the far right does, which is now effectively synonymous with the right. There is no right anymore. It's basically all far right, unfortunately. Like, it's been so polarized at this point. But anyway, this is what they do. They talk about the exact same subjects over and over and over and over and over again. And they talk about how persecuted they are 24/7. It's all about how mistreated they are. So they've been talking about the search on Mar-a-Lago for 3 weeks now, and they are still focusing in on it. You know why? Because they view it as a winning issue. They think it's something that gets people upset at the Democrats. And they may be right. Unfortunately, whether it gets people upset at Democrats or not, it's still necessary to do, I believe. Even if this, destroyed Democrats' chances of winning anything at all, it needs to happen for the sake of justice. People can't just get away with things, in my opinion, but that's neither here nor there. If you're unfamiliar, if you're watching this 5 years in the future, let me just give you a 30-second breakdown. Donald Trump, when he left office, took a bunch of classified documents with him, classified to the highest level, top secret stuff, serious stuff. He took them with him, and then the Department of Justice requested them back. He refused. He gave some back, but kept others. I'm talking like nuclear documents and stuff, like real shit. And finally, after like a year and a half, the FBI just went in and retrieved the documents themselves. No more asking. They'd been asking for a year and a half. They just went in and took them. And they are really, really upset over that. So that's the story in a nutshell. Keep listening here.
Well, I mean, first of all, it is unprecedented. I mean, this is clearly...
It's unprecedented because no president has ever stolen nuclear and other top secret documents from the White House on their way out the door. Of course it's unprecedented.
President Trump sent me a note thanking me because he saw a news hit that I did defending him the day that it happened. So thank you to the boss for doing that. But the reality of it is preposterous. I mean, President Nixon, who was actually guilty of the deeds that he did while he was president, received better treatment than Donald J. Trump has in the time since he came down the golden escalator and announced that he's running for president. I mean, the reality of it is this is simply another massive hit piece.
I don't understand what he's trying to communicate here. Nixon was treated better than Trump was, and Nixon was... What? I don't get... Like, what is he even talking about? What does that have to do with anything? I don't care if Nixon was treated better or worse than Trump. They were both guilty, and both need to face consequences for their actions. Nixon famously said, if the president does it, it's not illegal. And that seems to be the mindset that Trump holds too. Unfortunately. Just insane, dude. We cannot let this dude anywhere near the presidency again. I don't think there's any chance Trump's going to take the presidency again, and I believe that because I think that there are some moderate Republicans like Liz Cheney who are willing to kamikaze themselves by, like, going in and starting up an independent campaign and pulling Republican voters away from Trump. I don't know. I guess time will tell what happens. Just hope for the best.
I mean, the wear and tear this is on the family. I was speaking to several of the Trump family members about how the media and how the leftist agenda is continuously hitting them.
Oh, I'm so sorry for them. So mistreated, right? White billionaires. And they are the most mistreated people alive. Oh, you got to feel for them, right? Poor people. I have no sympathy for these people whatsoever, like literally none. They broke laws and acted unethically through the entirety of Donald Trump's presidency. The entire thing, the whole time. I have no sympathy, none, for any of them. Trump, Donald Trump Jr., Eric, Ivanka, none. I do not care. They need to face consequences for their disgusting behavior.
Left and right, and people don't even realize that these are regular, normal people. This is clearly an attempt to prevent Donald J. Trump from running for president of the United States of America.
How could this stop him from running for president, searching his house for documents he stole? I don't think it's going to stop him from running. I would love it if it did, but I deeply doubt that it's going to come to that point. I think we're going to have Liz Cheney kamikaze herself in one of the elections to stop Trump. I don't think anything's going to stop him, honestly. It takes a long time to go through an investigation and, charge people with things and all that stuff. It's not as simple as, just snapping your fingers and now Donald Trump is being charged for this or that or whatever else. Doesn't really work that way. It's going to take like years, in my opinion, before Trump is charged and or sentenced with this stuff. And even when he's sentenced, I don't know that he's going to spend a single day in jail. I deeply, deeply doubt it. Because, people at the very top, they get away with a lot more than the people at the bottom.
Isn't another Republican candidate that is really in position other than maybe a DeSantis, but he wouldn't be able to beat Donald Trump in a head-to-head. Now,
Wait, why are we talking about why are we talking about DeSantis beating Donald Trump in a head-to-head? That has nothing to do with it. So what he just said, if you're confused, let's just step back and listen to his sentence again because it's relevant.
This is clearly an attempt to prevent Donald J. Trump from running for president of the United States of America. There isn't another Republican candidate that is really in position other than maybe a DeSantis, but he wouldn't be able to beat Donald Trump in a head-to-head. Now, I love
Okay, so what does that have to do with anything? What does it have to do with, what does DeSantis beating Trump in a head-to-head have to do with anything at all? DeSantis is positioned to run in 2024. What he's saying is Democrats are trying to take Trump out of the race because they know that if Trump is no longer able to run, there's no one else that can fight the Democrats, basically. And then he named somebody who is in position to do so. And then he said, but that person couldn't beat Donald Trump. What does that have to do with anything? I don't understand. It's completely unrelated. Non sequitur. This is called a non sequitur. It's nonsense. This guy desperately wants Trump to be president again. I don't know why. The dude didn't do anything incredible his first time around. He just did standard Republican policies. In fact, Trump wasn't even pulling a lot of the levers behind the scenes. I think Trump was probably just having other Republican people that he nominated do a lot of the lever pulling, like for the economy and stuff like that, and then taking credit for it at the end of the day. So I don't see why these people even give a shit if Trump is president or not, aside from the fact that they're cult members. That's it. It's solely because they're cult members.
DeSantis, I spoke on several events with him. He's a great warrior. He is down there in Florida doing what I believe every Republican governor should do to save America. But in a head-to-head race against President Trump, he would not win. And he knows this. We need him in Florida, right?
I have no idea what this has to do with anything at all. Really, what is he even talking about right now?
I would suggest to be a great DeSantis and Trump ticket, right? But the reality of it is there isn't another Republican who is close to winning that nomination and taking away from Donald J. Trump. And the left knows this. All they've done, Pastor Bailey, is they've just...
Wait, is Gene Bailey a pastor too? I didn't know that. I thought he was just like the host of Flashpoint.
Simply re-elected Donald J. Trump as the 47th president of the United States of America. That's literally all they've done. The amount of money that the boss raised on that day when they raided his house, right? The money that was raised from Americans.
Wow, that's fascinating. He thinks that Trump's house being searched by the FBI got Trump reelected. I mean, it did increase his poll numbers, that's for sure. It rallied support for him or whatever, which was waning in the moment. But yeah, to say that it got him reelected, if you really feel that way, it seems to me like he shouldn't care that Trump was like searched by the FBI, right?
It's just amazing because Trump said this.
Your mom's amazing.
Not just coming after me, they're coming after all of us. And
oh my God. I've seen this meme. Trump puts this meme out constantly. They're not after me, they're after you. I'm just standing in the way. It is the most ridiculous persecution porn I've seen in a long, long time. I mean, I've been talking about this for a while. I showed that specific meme in a video like years ago. They've been saying this for like ever. It is so cringy when they do this.
This is why Americans who realize this big government led by Joe Biden is simply destroying the rights, the privileges of free America. We weren't going to have no king in England, and by George, with the power of the Lord Jesus Christ, we won't have a King Biden here in America.
We don't have a King Biden. We're not even talking about Biden like overstepping his powers and doing things that you would expect a king to do. Nobody is even talking about that. Biden has just been kind of a standard run-of-the-mill, right down the middle kind of guy. There's really nothing crazy about him. What makes you think he's a king? You know what it is, really, with Mark Burns? The dude's an extremist and will look for any direction of attack against Biden. And the audience eats it up. They listen and love it. They believe it because they hate the guy. Automatically.
The free patriots of America is putting a stop to this regime of Joe Biden and the liberal left agenda. So they just done us a favor. They just reelected Donald J. Trump as the 47th president.
Great. So you shouldn't care then, right? You shouldn't be complaining about all this then, seems to me, right? And yeah, Robert Adset points out, like, what rights and privileges are being destroyed? I can name a few that the Supreme Court has taken away very recently. What rights and privileges has the right lost since Biden took office? I'll take anything. Give me any example.
What do you think? I'll go back to you, John Graves. Do you agree with Mark Burns there? Is this kind of the pushing him over to be reelected, do you believe?
It is. You know what I think about is the story of Esther and Mordecai. They're persecuting these people and all the people who follow them. Like,
oh my God, dude! It always comes back to persecution. Anybody notice that? Always. First of all, and second, Esther does not belong in the Bible. It's a fake book. It was fabricated after the fact, and I don't know why. I think the Catholic Church included it when they came up with what was canon and what wasn't. Book of Revelation almost didn't make the cut into the Bible. Like I said, the Catholic Church picked out what books were going to be in there, and they really should not have put Esther in. It honestly did not belong.
Haman was. It's a spirit of Haman, and I believe all of us need to be praying that they hang on their own gallows. The scripture is very clear in Psalm 94, Psalm 7.
Holy shit, dude. That's a little graphic. Are you kidding me? What is with these people? Seriously. These people are nuts.
It's a spirit of Haman, and I believe all of us need to be praying that they hang on their own gallows. The scripture is very clear in Psalm 94, Psalm 7, that those who set a trap for somebody else will fall into that trap themselves. And so I do agree with Pastor Mark Burns. What they're doing here is over the top. And I don't know if anybody's even seen this. It just happened. Joe Rogan had Mark Zuckerberg on, and you know what he told Joe Rogan? He said, the FBI came to me in 2020 and warned me about Russia propaganda. When the Hunter Biden laptop came out, we suppressed that with our algorithms on social media.
Yeah, I remember, actually, this is a breaking story at this immediate moment. That's roughly correct. Around that time, I think 2016. Wait, when was it that he said? I don't remember now. Hang on.
When the Hunter Biden...
Wait, let me step back.
2020, and
right, in 2020 the FBI came to, like, they had basic warnings for every social media company, not just Facebook, but like Twitter and all of that. Every single one got their warning about what Russia was trying to do. Like, Russia does propaganda campaigns all the time in the West. They've been doing it since like day one, since the very beginning. It's not surprising to know that Russia does propaganda campaigns. And they warned Facebook that there was a propaganda campaign underway, or they were trying to like get a foothold in with one of these propaganda campaigns. And Mark Zuckerberg on Joe Rogan recently, said it was around the time when the Hunter Biden thing was happening. And Rogan said, what, did they warn you about the Hunter Biden thing? And he said, not that specifically, but it fit the pattern. So it looked exactly like Russian propaganda, the Hunter Biden thing, the Hunter Biden laptop did. It looked exactly like it. Now, like you said, the FBI has not provided specific direction about specific propaganda campaigns, but the Hunter Biden laptop thing looks exactly like something Russia would do. So they had it in limbo. People could still share it and stuff, but they were limiting the story from going absolutely insane. They were limiting it from going totally viral for about 5 days. It was in limbo while they tried to fact check it and see if it was like a legitimate story or not. That's what Zuckerberg told Joe Rogan. Which tells me that it really was just a Russia propaganda campaign, honestly. It does look exactly like Russia propaganda campaign. It looks exactly like something Russia would do. And a bunch of CIA and FBI agents came out not too long ago and said the Hunter Biden laptop story, they believe that it is a Russia propaganda campaign. So yeah, I'm sorry. I'm just like too skeptical to accept anything about the Hunter Biden stuff. When somebody turns over the laptop, when they hold it out on film and open it and show me things on it directly, or when I can physically touch it, I'll believe it. Not a second sooner. I'm sorry. People are always talking about, oh, we found this, we found that. And then those things that they talk about turn out to be fake. Photoshopped pictures. I'm sorry. I feel like I can't trust a single thing on that laptop that supposedly came from that laptop when I can actually see the thing and verify that somebody actually has one, like actually has the laptop, and it's not just a completely fabricated story from the ground up, that's when I'll believe it. But I'm honestly extremely skeptical. I'm just too skeptical to buy anything about the Biden laptop.
Warned me about Russia propaganda. When the Hunter Biden laptop came out, we suppressed that with our algorithms on social media.
That's correct. He said that it was in limbo until they fact-checked it, until they verified that it was even real. That's a good thing. That's how democracy is supposed to work. You're supposed to make sure that information is real before spreading that information to the rest of society. No, this guy doesn't want to fact-check information. He wants it to spread automatically. He wants to be able to say absolutely anything with no fact-checking, with no information, with no nothing, no limits at all, and watch that misinformation spread wildly. Disgusting.
The FBI. So it's irrefutable now. I call it the 4 H's. They had Hillary's emails, then they had the hoax for Russia, then they hid Hunter Biden's, and now they've gone after his home. And I think people, Gene, are going to come unglued over this. People who...
Okay, the Russia thing was not a hoax. In no way, shape, or form was it a hoax. It did not exonerate Donald Trump. Trump was still very much under the eye of like prosecutors and stuff for what he did with the Russia stuff. I mean, it led to 34 indictments. The Russia probe did. Like, in Hillary's emails, the FBI found no wrongdoing or decided not to prosecute with that. Like, I don't know what else you want from people. Seriously. It's absurd how they constantly propagandize. Flashpoint is nothing but one big, long string of propagandistic framing and propaganda methods, like nothing more, nothing less. That is all they do on here. It's fascinating to watch.
Didn't even want to vote for Trump, like his policies, but not his personality. They now see it's him versus the big state.
It's true. All right, let me bring in
the big state. You mean the deep state?
Mike Lindell. Mike, before we get to the revelations from this past weekend, I want you to weigh in. You've been listening to these gentlemen. We talk about the raid at Mar-a-Lago. What do you think? Is this going to push it over the edge?
So that's Flashpoint. In the next part, Mike Lindell lays some ridiculous election conspiracies on us. Believe it or not, these people managed to dig up some video from 2006 of a guy saying he knows how to write code that would weight an election in one person's favor. Well, yeah, basically anybody knows how to do that. Did he have access to the machines? Was he familiar with the code base? Did he even know what language it was written in? Of course not. But that doesn't matter. What matters is furthering the conspiracy. Stick around for part 2. It gets wild.